In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the driver's side front wheel hub on your Nissan Rogue, located right here behind your front wheel. Want to go ahead and remove your center cap. Go ahead and put your fingers underneath and gently tug outward. Pop those right off. It's going to give you access to the 521mm nuts. Go ahead, loosen and remove those. Once you have those off, grab the wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Using a pair of pliers or cutters, grab the cotter pin here, and open this up. And then we'll go ahead and work this out. Now, cotter pins are a one-time use, so you're going to make sure you have a replacement cotter pin. Using a 32mm socket, let's go ahead and loosen and remove our axle nut. Remove that nut. Now we went ahead and we put this lug nut on to hold the rotor in place, just to stabilize it. Check the movement of the axle here. The splines are free. If your axle is stuck and will not move in, you can use a punch here and a hammer and knock that free. You want to have that loose like that. Loosen and remove the two 19mm bolts holding the brake caliper and bracket to the knuckle. Now when you remove this last bolt here, the brake caliper and assembly here will be loose. You want to make sure that that doesn't pull off, because that's going to cause abnormal pressure on the flex hose and can damage that. So hold that caliper and bracket while you remove that bolt. Slide that off. Now we're going to use our hook here to go ahead. We're going to catch that and we're going to hang it off of the strut spring to hold it up and out of the way. All right, grab that brake rotor, slide that off and set it aside. Now in order to remove this wheel hub here, there are 4 bolts holding it. There's 2 here and there's 2 on the bottom. We're going to access these bolts through the back side of the knuckle. Now at this point here, to gain access to the back side here, our axle is kind of in the way. Simply push in on that axle shaft and that'll come back a little bit, giving us better access here. Now you want to go ahead, grab that knuckle, rotate that, use our 17mm socket, small extension, and our ratchet. Let's go ahead and loosen this. Go ahead and repeat this process for the other 3 bolts. Once you have these 2 bolts loose, go ahead and grab that tie rod end and that knuckle. Go ahead and rotate it the other way. It's going to give us access to the back side 2 bolts. You want to make sure that in order to get your socket in there, standard size socket, you want to push this axle in to make sure you get clearance. Go ahead and remove all the bolts. Get that bolt. Now behind your backing plate here, you're going to locate your ABS sensor. There's a bolt right here, 10mm. loosen and remove this here. You want to remove that sensor. Set that aside. Now the wheel hub itself is pressed into the knuckle slightly. There's normally a large round metal disc around the back here, which is your brake backing plate. This vehicle, it's rusted off, it's completely gone. I'm just going to show you that what you want to do is work your way hitting the hub itself to separate it from the knuckle itself. And you can continue this process around the front side of this wheel hub to pop this out. Now if your vehicle has a backing plate here, it would be right here along the back side. You want to go ahead and pop that off. And then you would take your backing plate and you would reinstall it onto the back of your new wheel hub. You want to make sure that the surface of the knuckle is clean and free of any large rusty nuggets. You can use just a wire brush like this here. Clean that. Next, you want to inspect the inside of the knuckle itself. Make sure that is free of any rust buildup. I'm just going to use some 120 grit sandpaper and just gently run around the inside perimeter here. I'm going to apply just a thin coat of grease where that hub is going to slide into. Be sure to clean off the splines of any rust or debris that you just sanded off of the knuckle. Go ahead and wipe off any rust or debris off of the splines on the axle. Once that's clean, and apply some fresh grease to the splines here. You would install your backing plate. Line that up on the axle splines. Line this up with the holes and work that hub in. Once you have that hub set into place, I want to go ahead and see if we can get one of these bolts started. Now when installing these bolts here, you will at least want to start the first one by hand, get it threaded in, then you can install another bolt, get that one started. Go ahead and grab that steering, rotate it back, and install the other two. Once you get all four of them started, go ahead and snug them down. Once you get all four of your bolts snugged down, you want to go ahead and torque these down to 65 foot-pounds. Repeat for the other side. Install your speed sensor. Get that bolt installed. Like to thread it down as far as you can by hand. And snug that down. Once that bolt bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. You're all set. Install the brake rotor. I'm going to throw a lug nut on here that'll hold the rotor flush to the hub. Slide the caliper and bracket onto the rotor. And get that upper bolt lined up. Go ahead and install the lower. Go ahead and snug those down. Torque the bracket bolts down to 122 foot-pounds. Install the axle nut, and we're going to zip that down. Remove the lug nut. Install 2 lug nuts. Use the pry bar as a stopper. Torque the axle nut down to 92 foot-pounds. Remove the pry bar. Remove the lug nuts. Install the new cotter pin. Go ahead and tap that down. Cut off the other tab. Go ahead and take your wheel. Line that up. Let's go ahead and get the lug nuts all started by hand first. Once you have them all started, go ahead and snug them down. Let's go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds. Now, installing your center cap, you want to make sure that the notch here lines up with the valve stem. Pop it on and you're all set. Finishing this installation, it's important to have an alignment done on your vehicle.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.